about the ARV formula. Who knows the ARV formula? If you know it, put it into the chat, please. All right, I want to know who actually knows it and who does not know it on the group. We got 12 people in the group. Awesome. It's growing. Last week, I think we had like 3 people. All right, REI USA is coming alive. All right, so if you know the ARV formula, put it into the chat. If you know the ARV formula. If you do not know it, say, I have no idea what you're talking about right now, Stacy. Okay. You have to know the ARV formula for like quick calculations. All right. For quick calculations, you have to know the ARV formula. And actually there's apps for this too. So, you know, I started back in the day when like there were no apps. All right. There was nothing. So I just have to use my bubblegum brain. Okay. So that's Christy got it. Awesome. All right. ARV. The ARV times 70% minus repairs equals your offer, or minus wholesale fee equals offer. Okay. What does ARV stand for? Who knows what ARV stands for? ARV is after repair value, which actually means what are you going to sell the property for? All right, that's what it means. What are you going to sell the property for? Okay. So does everybody have this formula written down? Because this is key. Like you need to have this formula also written down right next to your chart. Right? So you just have this like ARV times 70% minus repairs minus my wholesale fee. That's my offer. Oh, actually we call this the MAO. Maximum allowable offer. Maximum allowable offer. So y'all didn't know that when y'all gonna be taking my class, you're gonna do some math, right? Math. Got to learn math and when you do real estate, or you just use an app now, right? But we got to at least learn how to do a little bit. Got to understand the concept, okay? All right, so this is the formula. Now, for me personally, when I look at this formula, all I see is a process. All I see is a system. Okay, so let's go through that system today and let me show you what the system is to put deals under contract. Okay. So now we have the ARV formula. ARV. All right, we have that here. Minus repairs. ARV times 70% minus repairs. We're going to write it here so we don't forget. Minus the wholesale fee equals your MAO. Okay. All right. So take out a piece of paper and write it like this, and then you can take notes on the side when we go through this. Okay. So how do you find your ARV? How do you find it's the price you're going to sell the property at after you've done everything that you possibly can to make it worth the most amount of money that you possibly can make it, right? That's the sell price, right? This is the sell price. Is it sell or sell? I always mix those two up. You would think I'm in money. I should understand those two, right? Okay. The sell price, or is it sell? No, maybe it's that way. It's sell. That's looking better. Okay, so for the sell price, all right, you're going to, how do you find the sell price? You have to run comps, right? So step one to putting deals under contract is running comps. So this is the process like, let me see. And we did this, right? So this is the process here. So we set our company up, We started doing all this marketing, and now we got all this marketing going, and guess what? Calls are coming in. Calls are coming in. All right, that's what you want. You want calls to be coming in, right? And then as you get the calls coming in, now you have to start taking the calls. All right, that's what I'm talking about. So last week we talked all about the marketing, getting your marketing set up. Now you get your marketing set up, move to the next step, and now you're like, crap, calls are coming in. Oh my God, now what do I do? That's the step that we're on, okay? Now, once you get your marketing done, I sent everybody out an email. I sent a little video in there. I said, your next step is to get your marketing. Did you guys watch my video? I said, your homework is to get some marketing set up so you can get calls coming in. You get calls coming in and you can put offers in. You can run deal analysis and you can put calls coming in. I'm teaching you right now how to really run deal analysis. That's what I'm doing. Okay. And then actually before this step, I wanted to just add one to run comps. You want to get a seller lead sheet. Where can you get a seller lead sheet? Where can you get a seller lead sheet? All my REI USA members that were at the Badass Summit, y'all should definitely know this. Where do you find a seller lead sheet at? Thank you. Oh, Rachel's listening to me. Oh, good. Somebody, Colleen, listened. Awesome. All right. So the seller lead sheet is in the forms directory. In the forms directory. Okay. So all you have to do is just go in, and I think I have like 2 versions in there. Pick whichever one that you like. And all the seller lead sheet is just like, it's the questions that you need to be asking the seller if they call you. Okay, so that's like the end, but like you got the marketing, you talk on the phone, you get the seller lead sheet filled out, and then you move on to deal acquisition and deal analysis. Okay, so make sure you get it in the forms directory. And that is, you should have like, once you get your marketing going, you should have like 10 of those just like sitting out ready to go. You should have a couple in your car just in case you're driving and somebody calls you. Right? I used to have like one of these like expandable folders. This is how dorky I am. Okay. That's why I call myself a storage nerd, because I'm a nerd. I had like one of these expandable folders, and then I had like all the forms in there of what I needed. I had like contracts ready to go, addendums. I had like lease agreements, and I had like my seller lead sheet, just in case I was driving down the road. Somebody would be like, call me up and be like, I want to sell your house. And I'd be like, oh, and I would just pull over and then I would fill out my seller lead sheet. Okay. So you have your seller lead sheet, you keep that out, you ask all the questions on there. You need to get as much information as you possibly can. I was talking to one of my students today in my coaching session, and she's like, I was like, what about this? What about this? She's like, I don't know. I said, did you ask all the questions on the seller lead sheet? And she's like, no, I didn't. I was like, well, then how are we going to run deal analysis? There's no way. You got to ask every question on the seller lead sheet, okay? Okay, run comps. All right, so now that's the first step. We got the address. Now we're going to run comps. How can you run comps? To everybody, list out all the different ways that you run comps right now. Okay, on the chat. List out all the different ways that you can run comps. I know Christy is a realtor, so she's got access to the MLS, but what if you don't have access to the MLS? What do you do? If you don't have access to the MLS, what do you do? We are partners with Privy. You can go into the partner section on the members portal and, try them out, try Privy out. Benson is the owner. Benson is amazing. I like Privy because I know Benson. I mean, just the owner of the company is the one that like wants to make you successful. That's why I like Privy and I use Privy, because I can call Benson at any time and he'll just be like, yeah, let me walk you through how to do this. That's the kind of owner, like, cause that's how I am. That's the type of person I am. So, and then you have these like huge big companies that have like all these like softwares and it's like customer service and you have to do a ticket and all this. Okay, so Privy is what I use, but you can do, I don't know, FlipComp is still around. I didn't even know that. Highly recommend that if you're using FlipComp, you should just use like Privy. Okay, Privy is way better than FlipComp. I used to use flip comp like 10 years ago, unless they had totally improved it and it's like way awesome now. But like back in the day, it was not good at all. But I did get one deal off of flip comp. Okay, so run comps with a comping software like Privy, PropStream, or the MLS. There's so many comping softwares out there. So you can really just Google like, real estate comping software and you can get a whole bunch. But we internally, we just use Privy. Run comps. And then now that you've run comps, so now you run comps and you're like, okay, the average sale price in the area is $150,000. Okay, that's what, like, one of the students that I looked at today, it was like it was $150,000 sell price, right, after it was all fixed up or whatever it was. That was the most that you could get out of it. Okay, so that's you run the comps to try to figure out what you can sell the property for. And then you multiply that number. So let's just say it's worth 150K by 70%. This number right here is called LTV, loan to value. Loan to value. And essentially, this is the number that the lender is going to lend you the money for, whatever it is. The lender's going to lend you 70 cents on the dollar. And you can ask your lender, whichever lenders that you talk to, and you should be talking to all of them, especially on the sponsors directory, and you ask them, like, what's your LTV? Like, are you doing 65 cents on the dollar, 70 cents, 90 cents on the dollar? The more money that they lend you, then the higher the interest rate is, just so you guys know, okay? But on average, most of them are around 70%. Okay, so 70 cents on the dollar. All right, so you'll multiply this. So 150 times 0.7 essentially is what it is, which comes out to 105. Okay, and that's it. This is what's it's 150 times 7. This is the comp. This is what we said. Okay, this is what the house is worth. We're going to multiply it this. And if you have somebody that's a 65%, you can do that, or 80%, you can multiply it by that if you know what your lender's terms are. Now, if you don't know what your lender's terms are, then just use 70%, really, right? Because like if you're a wholesaler and you don't know what the buyer's terms are going to be, then just on average, everybody uses 70%. And now you're going to minus the repairs, right? Now you minus the repairs. How do you figure out what the repair cost is? How do you figure out what the repair cost is? There's many, many different ways. One of them is that there is a repair estimate in the forms directory. All right, but you have to go and look at the property. The only way you're truly going to know if what the repairs are is if you go and look at it. I mean, if you ask the seller what repairs they want on the house, nothing is ever going to be wrong with the house. All right. All right. So you say, and then on the lead sheet, it asks, are there any repairs needed? Right. And so it's like, no, it's perfect. All right. One person's like, it may need a new roof. It's about time, or something. And that's it. But the truth of the matter is you're never going to know for sure unless you go over there and you go look. Okay. So you have to go look at the property. Do not do any sight unseen offers or anything like that until you know what you're doing. Because you hear these sight unseen offers and these are experts that know what they're doing. You as a newbie, you need to be going out, practicing filling out the repair estimate sheet. And the repair estimate sheet is right in the forms directory. Print it out, just take it with you, put it on a clipboard, and then you just go through and it's like a checklist. Does it need a new roof? Yes. Okay. And then it tells you the price. Does it need a new garage door? Yes. Does it need this? Yes, yes, yes. And then you just go through, you tally it up, and that's your repair estimate. Okay. That's how you should do repair estimates right now. Okay. So not guessing and not being like, oh, it's a 1,300 square foot house. So let's just say, $20 a square foot. I mean, you just can't, right now, you cannot do that until you really, truly know what you're doing and the numbers. Okay. You want to do it correct and just learn how to do it correctly, right? In the beginning. So the repairs, right? let's just say, and actually I want to go over the 5,000 rule. I call it 5,000 rule. That's my personal rule. Okay, the 5,000 rule. This fits into houses that are anywhere from like 1,000 to 2,000 square feet. Okay, this is like this kind of, these are the price ranges for repairs. All right, so if it needs a new roof, right, guess what? It's $5,000. Now, if you're in California, it might be a little bit different. If you're in like, because I know somebody's on California, like in California, it might be more expensive. And it's always good to even get a contractor to come out, or 2 or 3 contractors, and say, look, this is the price. And even when you ask a contractor, of course, they're all going to have like totally different prices. You can ask like 5 contractors and you'll get range from like 50 to 150 grand for a rehab. But on average, on typical houses across the country, okay, a roof is going to cost around $5,000. All right, flooring for this house will probably cost around $5,000. All right, kitchen cabinets, so cabinets and countertops, probably around that. Okay. What else? Electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. So electrical, if it needs a new electrical, plumbing, or HVAC, which is like heating and air. Okay. If it needs a new one of these for a typical house, it's going to cost like $5 grand. Let's see, what else is there that I'm missing? What am I missing? Tile. You got to retile the whole kitchen, right? You got to retile, like you got to tile the backsplash. You got to tile the bathrooms, the showers, you know, or whatever, or the floor if you want to put tile on the floor. Usually for these houses, for the entire house, it costs like, now it costs $5,000. Now these are typical small regular houses. Once you start getting out into the burbs and it's got like a master bathroom that's like huge, you're right, this is going to be more money. Okay, but if you're looking on the average, so I just want to give you kind of like an average price so you know. And let's see what else is there. And when I say flooring, I'm talking about like nice flooring, not carpet. Carpet's usually like $2 a square foot or something like this, okay? But like nice flooring, right? You don't want to be on if you want to be on the cheap side. Rentals, this is not a rental. This is like a nice rehab, all right? So, but you want to be like, as a wholesaler, you want to be focusing on like, the buyers of your wholesale deals are going to be doing like nicer rehabs. Okay. If it was like a crappy rehab, you might as well just do it yourself, right? If it's a rental rehab and it's only going to cost like $10,000 to do the rehab, why don't you just do it? Why don't you figure out how to do this deal, right? Pass off, keep the good ones to yourself, the easy rehabs, pass all the hard ones off. That's what I say. Pass them to somebody else that really wants to do like the hard one, if you want to wholesale. Okay, all right, good. What else can you think of? Let me see. How do you find accurate comps if not having MLS? I think you probably came in maybe a little bit later. Comps are through TriPrivy. They're a partner of REI USA. So go into the members portal, go under partners, and TriPrivy. You can also try PropStream. They're like, you can Google like comping softwares, and then they all have free trials. You can try them out for like 2 weeks or a month or whatever it is. We internally use Privy is who we use. Okay. So what else? You get my drift on the 5,000. Like pretty much, like if you buy a house for if you buy a house that you know is going to sell for $150,000. And you go in and you look at it and it needs like new paint. Oh, I forgot paint. Paint is expensive, man. Back in the day, I used to get paint so cheap when I first started. And now I'm like, what is it per square foot? It's like so expensive. I mean, people are charging like $5,000 on the outside and $5,000 on the inside to do paint right now. Are y'all seeing that? Because it is crazy paint prices. Why? Paint price never went up, just labor. It's like really weird. I don't know. Back in the day, I used to pay like 75 cents a square foot to get paint. Now it's like $2-3 a square foot. And tile also has gone up. Like I used to pay like so cheap, like $5 a square foot, and now it's like $12 a square foot. All right, so you want to just like you're going to start once you get into it, you'll start learning what all the price like the prices are. And the truth is that you want to be able to be like, oh yeah, I know that price. That's $12 a square foot. You know what I'm saying? And but typically on a small 12 to 1500 square foot house that most people are going to be buying, I'm telling you over the next couple of years, right? The 1000 to 2000 square foot houses, you can go through, and when you're walking through, you can be like, that's 5,000, that's 5,000, that's 5,000, right? And kind of in your mind quickly add up. I mean, appliances are at least $2,500. And for a whole package, at least $2,500. So you're like, oh, it's just paste lipstick. It's just paint and carpet. And, so even paint, to paint inside and outside of a house, that's going to be over $5,000. I mean, like $7,000 right now. I mean, it's like crazy prices, So you can utilize the repair estimate for coming up with prices of what rehabs are, number one. Number two, use the 5,000 rule. I mean, I personally, like when I was rehabbing homes, I would do like paint, flooring, roof, all the subs, and then like the kitchen, the cabinets and like the countertops and appliances, and then like all the light fixtures and, like miscellaneous stuff. And that's already like 50 grand. So for me personally, to do like a nice rehab on a home, it's going to be at least 50 grand, if not more. Not a rental rehab if you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to like put this in for a rental. It's a little bit cheaper for that. But a rehab normally is at least $50,000. Okay. It just costs a lot of money to rehab. People don't understand this. And then they get in and like, oh, I can do it on the cheap and stuff. And it's like, it just doesn't work. So when you find a house that you can sell for $200,000 or $150,000, most likely it's going to take a little bit of money to rehab that thing. Don't skimp on the rehab, especially if you're a wholesaler, because you will never be able to wholesale that deal. Beef up that rehab cost. Beef up that rehab cost. So in the end, the buyer, when they buy, they're like, you know what? You said it was a 60 grand rehab and I did it for 50 grand. That's even awesome. So I'll save $10,000. And then they want to come back to you. You know what I'm saying? So, are y'all gonna have any questions on this? Let me see. Paint is the most important. Exactly. Paint is so expensive right now. Let me close this door because the sun's coming in. Paint is so expensive right now. It's like so weird. Like it's not even like the labor price has gone up and not the paint price. And lumber is very expensive right now. So you have to do framing for an entire house. Like if you're gutting it and reframing it, which definitely for your first house, you should not do this. But framing is about like $5 grand for a house this size too. I mean, it's expensive to do framing. And sheetrock is also like the whole house framing, sheetrock, 10 grand at least for a typical house. Can you share the name of the apps for the ARV formula? I don't know of any apps because I am old. All right. I'm old school. I don't do apps. All right. I do brain is what I do. Okay. So if anybody has any, but actually there's a really, we have a great partner. Who here wants to do rehabs? Tell me in here, who wants to do rehabs? Who wants to do wholesales? Who's going to do passive income? Who's going to do Airbnb? Tell me what you're going to do. But under the partner section, if you truly want to rehab homes, then you should be checking out Flipper Force. Flipper Force, I'm telling you, is the best project management software out there for rehabbers. Highly recommend that you check that out. Just go to the partner section and you can check it out, get a demo, try it. All right. Flipper Force is amazing. And the owner is such a nice guy. It's just a guy that's like, he flips home on a regular basis. And he's like, I'm going to create my own software, and just do this. And he created this software and it's amazing. Okay. I would like to do rehabs and single and short-term rentals and long-term rentals. Okay, cool. Yeah. So definitely check if you're going to be doing any type of rehabs at all. I highly recommend that you look at Flipper Force, because Flipper Force essentially has like the analyzers right in there, so you can just run your numbers. And actually, for every step of the way for the rehab from start to finish, everything is in there. And if you utilize that whole entire software, what happens is in the end, it'll tell you what your ROI is and what your profit is. So if you want to do, I highly recommend checking out Flipper Force. It's so nice. It's such a great software. Okay, so now we've got the repairs. So I'm going to say this house is like a typical rehab and it needs 50 grand worth of work. Okay. This is not a rental rehab. This is a regular rehab, right? So now repairs, 50K. So we were at 150 for the ARV. We multiplied it by 70% to get 105. We minus 50K for the repairs. So now we're at $55,000, right? So we're at 55K, right? I mean, sorry, yeah, 55K right here. And then the next step minus repairs is your wholesale fee. If you want to wholesale this, if you want to keep it, then you know your MAO, your maximum allowable offer, is $55,000. So I know I could buy those houses for 55, and that's what I did. My core business for like 5 years straight, I did about 25 rehabs a year. I did 50,000. I bought them at 50,000, put 50,000 into them, and sold them for 150. And I just did that over and over and over. All right. And you'll see a lot of that now. So houses, like that's what I'm saying. You'll see houses like you don't want to buy a house for 70,000, have to put 50 grand into it and sell it for 150. You're going to break even. Okay, you're gonna break even. Wholesales. Now, like let's just say I wanted to wholesale this thing, right? You would have to pick that up for at least, like how much do you want to make on your wholesale deal? 5 grand, 10 grand, 15, 20? Yeah, typically it's like 5 to 10 grand. So I always shoot for 10, especially on these affordable housing types of houses. I shoot for 10 grand. All right. So, so now let's say if I want to wholesale it, my fee's 10K. So my MAO is 45. Right. So if I'm a wholesaler, I would have to, if I'm a wholesaler, I have to put that thing under contract for 45,000 so that I could sell it for 55,000. And the buyer comes in and buys it for 55, puts 50,000 into it and sells it for 150. And that is called the ARV formula. ARV formula. So once